Fifth meeting of the School Board of Charlotte County is hereby called to order. Here in Charlotte County, we will achieve our vision of student success through our mission. We will provide an innovative educational environment that allows and inspires success for everyone. On today's agenda, we have some students who are being recognized for their participation and high honors in national skills competition. And so if Nicholas Kolkowski and Gabriel Pipitone could come and lead us in the pledge to our flag. Are they here, Michelle? Oh.
Good timing.
You heard your name called. If you could come here and lead us in the pledge to our flag, we'd be honored. Please stand and join us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You'll notice that we have a new screen up here before you, which will follow the agenda as we go. But because we have this new screen, we're going to be going a little slower tonight. We're going to be voting electronically, so all the votes will actually show up here, and it also registers it in our minutes. So if you could just bear with us, we'd appreciate it. First item on the agenda is the additions and corrections. Mr. Superintendent, we have an amendment.
Yes, we do. Amendment number 1 in section H2, out-of-field teachers. And the second part of Amendment 1 is in area H3, personnel action.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the addition of item H2, out-of-field teachers, and item H3, personnel addendum. Is there any board discussion? All right, seeing none. Ms. Dow, we're ready to vote. We have to wait for the little button to come up to vote. This is up. Here we go. All in favor, please push your buttons. All opposed, push those buttons. Please vote appropriately as you see fit. And do you have the results yet, Ms. Dow?
Yes. The answer is...
We're going to increase the speed on this, and you really shouldn't be waiting with bated breath. This is simply a personnel addendum.
Operator error.
I have every reason to believe it passed.
The answer is...
Technology's wonderful.
Yeah. This is our first time, as you can see, using it during a meeting. No pressure. There we go. All right, so we have... motion passes unanimously. Next item on the agenda is reports. Mr. Superintendent.
We have 3 reports this evening, and I'm going to invite the board to join me down in front of the dais. I'm going to take my old-fashioned laptop with me, and we will recognize 3 different groups. Yes, there is a place for paper still, sometimes. It's my pleasure to introduce our first recognition, the Make a Difference Award. Now, this is finishing my second year, and I think we've only done one of these in the 2 years that I've been superintendent. So this is not a regular event. This is a very special award. And this evening, I have the pleasure of introducing Janie Roth, if you would stand, please, who's going to be the recipient of this award. But before we actually award this to Janie, I'm going to invite Christine Wilkins, who nominated Janie, to come to the podium and explain the purpose of the award. And Janie, if you want to come up over here, I'll stand with you here and let Christine talk.
I also have paper. We all know her as Janie. In fact, when I nominated her, I said Janie. Did not know her last name at the time, but this is my story about Janie. And I must say thank you, ladies and gentlemen of the board and Dr. Whitaker, for giving me this opportunity to share my story about a very special lady, Janie Roth, who is the receptionist for anyone who does not know. She is the receptionist and does much more, I'm sure, at our HealthStat clinic. And she has shown me and many others what it means to do your job above and beyond what is expected. Let me explain. Last August, I had my mammogram, and it showed something different. The physicians all decided to wait 6 months and compare with the next mammogram. In February, I received my notice saying it was time to schedule my mammogram. Now, I do have, and I will admit this, my husband will agree, I have a very bad character trait. I would make an excellent ostrich. I avoid anything that might cause pain. I don't think that Janie knew that. However, she started calling me with her gentle reminders to make my appointments so that she could fax the prescription to the center. In fact, during the next 2 months, see, I do really procrastinate, she must have called me 12 to 14 times. Her gentle reminders always sent the same message: make your appointment. I finally made that appointment simply to have her stop calling. And I told her that, and we laughed. Unfortunately, that mammogram led to an ultrasound and a compression mammogram that I had to schedule with more prodding from Janie. And then I was told that I needed a needle biopsy. Fear gripped me, but Janie kept after me. After 2 weeks, I did make that appointment, and when I called her, I was near nauseous, terrified, and I could hear the smile in her voice and the encouraging tone in her voice. And then the news: I had breast cancer. Suddenly, the appointment making was out of my hands. Appointments were made for me, and after 9 days, I was having my lumpectomy to remove 2 very, very small tumors from my breast. After my surgery, I went to Janie to thank her. If it had not been for Janie, I would have let a lot more time go by before I did anything. But Janie never gave up on me. I'm sure that she was told to call and encourage me to make my appointment. But Janie's consistent calls forced me to take actions that I did not want to do. She went above and beyond to help me to my healthy conclusion. Janie does not do her job. She works with a compassion and a caring spirit that is amazing. Janie saved me. She saved my way of life, and I will be forever grateful to her. I firmly believe that God placed Janie in this position to be my angel. She was there for me, and I'm sure that Janie is there for every one of the patients that come through HealthStat Clinic. She's just that kind of a person. And so after all of this, I asked Dr. Whitaker if we could recognize her for her outstanding determination and her encouraging spirit. We need a lot more people like Janie Roth, and we each need to be more like Janie so that we can touch with loving compassion all the people around us. Janie, you have gone above and beyond, and I'm so glad that you did.
dog. I really didn't come here to read anything off of my paper because I didn't really understand. I'm just so humble about this whole thing. But I feel like I have to say a few things. My spirit comes from above, and I work for the Lord. And He has directed me to this city, this state that we've just moved 3 years ago. There's no doubt in my mind that God led me here, and for many reasons, I certainly won't go into all that. But my story in 2005, I too was a breast cancer survivor. And when that happened to me, I can feel the sentiments that Christine said. It brings back all that, back at that time. And I also, when that all took place, I was involved in a breast cancer fundraiser before I was a breast cancer patient. And I was so strongly moved by sitting in the audience, watching and counting, as people were counting the money and raising the money for this cause, that I was now not just a participant, I was a survivor. So I asked the gentleman that was in charge of this big event, and I told him, I said, I'd like to speak. And he asked me to speak at his lecture the following year. And my comment to all the people that were at this event, and I shared my story, and I said, if just one person listened to me, that you go and you get and use the tools that are out there for prevention. Nothing is 100%. Nothing in the medical field is 100%. But who would ever want you to ignore something to get that could possibly save your life? And as well as mine, my condition was very, very similar. My story is to Christine's, but I feel I am an advocate, and I just cannot stress it enough that whoever ignores that they must not ignore it, because your circumstances could turn out so much more. And as we all know, I'm sure we all have friends that have been dealt with those frightening words that you have cancer. So on that note, I am just so moved that God continues to shine in me, and that she said that, because I didn't realize that I even impacted that. I didn't even know. So on that note, thank you, Christine, and thank you, God, for giving me this platform.
For those of us that go to the clinic on a regular or not so regular basis, we know we can always count on a smile and a warm hello and how can I help you. I can't tell you how many people have said to me what a delight it is to call the clinic and say, is there any way I can see, the nurse practitioner? And Janie will say, well, we sort of have a full schedule. Let me see if I can work you in. And she just finds a way to provide really great customer service. So thank you. Thank you, Janie. Next on our agenda, we have our Charlotte High School coaches recognition. I'm going to ask the principal, Mr. Richard Schaefer, if he would come forward. As he does so, I'm going to ask our two recipients if they would come forward. Yes. Let me just move down. We have Mr. George Sansone and Mr. Bill Hoke are going to be recognized this evening. I'll let Mr. Schaefer introduce them and describe the recognition this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Whitaker, Board Chair, Board members, Dr. Whitaker. It's my pleasure to introduce two gentlemen that collectively have contributed 72 years in the field of wrestling. These gentlemen have touched many lives in the course of their life. George has been coaching wrestling for 44 years. And mathematically, it doesn't come out to be, because Mr. Hoke was 32 years, so I think that's 76 years of wrestling. Exponentially, these guys have touched so many lives that it's difficult to explain and to even imagine how many people they have been able to work with, touch, help, and carry on the tradition of character, integrity, and responsibility, which is what this award is about. In the class of 2011, Bill Hoke was selected to be to represent the National Wrestling Hall of Fame. Please give him a hand. I've had the enjoyment to coach with Bill Hoke. I was his assistant coach at Riverdale High School many years ago. I have some stories to share, but that probably wouldn't be appropriate. And I'd like to say that when the two of us went at it on the mat, that I won, especially with my size, but that's not the truth. And there are many stories that I can share with you about Bill. There was one gentleman that was, this young man was, well, you saw the show Karate Kid. Most of you probably saw that show and think that's Hollywood. Well, the story that I'm about to share with you is a true story. This young man weighed every bit of 150, 160 pounds, and through the course of his years with Bill, this young student, ESE, dyslexia, had a most difficult time reading, developed over the years. And in the state championship his senior year, went up against a guy that was 30 pounds his senior. And in the second period, there are 3 periods in wrestling. In the second period, he blew out his knee. And he said, "Coach, I can do this." Third period. This guy weighs 30 pounds more than he does. I can do this. And Bill said, "I will not let you go." He said, "No, I have to do this." And Bill said, "Okay, but if I see anything that's going to jeopardize your health, I'm throwing the towel." He said, "Okay." And in a split second, when that whistle blew, he threw an arm drag and pinned the kid. Now, this is a student that many folks wrote off as he's going to be one of those that is not going to be successful. And now he owns a construction company in San Diego, and he's worth a lot of money. But he's happy. He served our country as a Marine in Desert Storm and has 3 beautiful kids. And that's a story that I can share while Bill and I wrestled or coached together. George Sansone was an opponent. George wrestled against Bill. Many, many years. George also is in the Tarpon Hall of Fame, and his career is vast and wide. Now he still serves as a teacher at Charlotte High School, student government instructor, AutoCAD and technology. Was just given the Paul Harris Award from Rotary. He's a stellar member of our community. The members that you see in front of us who have just been inducted into the National Wrestling Hall of Fame touched many lives. And they have represented Charlotte High School great, well, without compassion for themselves, but not only for Charlotte High School, but Charlotte community, the state of Florida, and nationally. Their pictures and their plaque now are in Oklahoma, and it is a great pleasure for me, again, to have this opportunity, board members and Dr. Whitaker, superintendent, and folks, to say thank you for what you've given to the kids of this community.
If any of you had experience as wrestlers in either high school or college or both, you know that wrestling coaches are among the most loved and despised human beings on the earth. During those 2 to 3 hours of practice, there aren't too many kind words being uttered from the wrestlers. But the rest of the time, and especially after, they're held and they're revered by their athletes. Special relationship. Gentlemen, thank you. Thank you. Good job. Our next item is our National Skills Competition students. And I'm going to, Barney, are you going to do the honors this evening? I don't want to steal your thunder, so I'll let you come up and introduce our students.
Thank you, Dr. Whitaker. Board members, thank you for the opportunity to recognize 2 outstanding students that we just graduated from the Tech Center this past spring. Also with us this evening, I would be remiss if I did not recognize several of our instructors who have really gone the extra mile and dedicated a lot of time and energy into what I'm going to talk about in a second. I'd like to recognize Darlene Riccio, Karen Candiani, and Stephen Knoll from Embry-Riddle, Chuck Cantini, our drafting instructor, and Cindy Goldsby, and Darlene Riccio from our dental instructors. Also with me is Michelle Weir, who coordinates Skills USA at the Tech Center, and she's a career counselor. 2 of our students, as I said, and please excuse my voice, were recently announced as national winners of the annual Skills USA Championship this past June at an awards ceremony at the National Leader in Skills Conference held in Kansas City, Missouri. Nick Kulski and Gabriel Pepitone received a bronze medal in aviation technology and a bronze medal in dental assisting, respectively. Over 5,600 outstanding career and technical education students joined in the excitement at this event. Working against the clock and each other, the participants proved their expertise in job skills for occupations such as electronics, technical drafting, precision machining, medical assisting, and culinary arts. There were also competition and leadership skills such as extemporaneous speaking and conducting meetings by parliamentary procedure. The Aviation Maintenance Technology Contest, Nick and the other contestants performed 12 tasks and represent the type of maintenance that they would be expected to do in the aviation industry. This is the first time a CTC student has competed in the contest, and its partner, Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, are quite proud of Nick's accomplishments. Nick, why don't you come on up? Congratulations on a job well done. In the dental assisting contest, Gabby and the other contestants performed procedures specified in the accreditation standards in dental assisting education programs of the Commission of Dental Accreditation. Students compete in chairside assisting, preparation of dental materials, infection control, and a myriad of other things. A CT student has qualified and competed in the national competition for the last 3 years. However, this is the first time one of our students brought home a medal in that area. CTC and our local dentist office partners would like to congratulate Gabby Pepitone. Gabby, come on up. And why don't all of our CTC instructors come on up also and join in this celebration. And as they come up, Skills USA is a national organization for students in trade, in industrial, technical, and health occupations education. It's sponsored by the Skills USA Championship annually to recognize the achievements of career and technical education students. And once again, we are very proud of our instructors and our students at Charlotte Technical Center.
Old business, I don't see that we have any. Mr. Superintendent, is that correct?
That is correct. There is no old business this evening.
So then we will move to the consent agenda under new business, the routine items. Mr. Superintendent.
It's my pleasure to bring the consent agenda to you this evening as presented before you.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda routine items as presented. I'm trying to see what that is. Final. It looks like you already have us voting. Okay. For the record, we haven't voted.
That's the first one, I think, isn't it?
That was addendum 1.
Here we go. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't have them like all grouped together as part of the problem, right? Okay, so we'll just put it in under the first one and we'll vote. Okay, so you have that Mrs. Rendell made the motion, Mrs. Miller seconded, so we need to vote. So please register your votes when the prompt appears. Has anyone got it yet? Because I haven't.
No.
It's not here.
I just did refresh mine, so let's see if that makes a difference. Not present at the vote. Let's not register that. No, it didn't come up. It's like, this is why we probably need a landline, Mr. Went. All right, how do you feel about us just verbally doing it? Is that something we can, okay, so all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That would be 4 yeas, 0 nays on consent agenda routine items. We'll move to the next agenda item, which is the consent agenda contracts and agreements. Mr. Superintendent.
And this evening, I am also recommending board approval of the contracts and agreements under the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it was moved by Mrs. Rendell, seconded by Mr. Swift. Is there any board discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Somehow Mrs. Dow knew how we were going to vote, so it was registered properly. Moving on to the action agenda, the 5-year work plan. We did have a workshop about this, 2 weeks ago, I think, when it was gone through, Mr. Superintendent?
Yes, we had a rather extensive discussion and presentation on the detail of this 5-year work plan. For those who may not be familiar with what this is our plan for capital expenditures over the next 5 years, construction, renovations, furniture, fixtures, all of those kinds of things that come out of our capital funding. And so it's my pleasure to bring to the board tonight a request of approval for the district facilities 5-year work plan.
So moved.
Second.
It was moved by Mrs. Miller and seconded by Mrs. Rendell that we approve the 5-year work plan as presented and previously discussed at a workshop. Is there any board discussion? Do we want to try to vote, or are you looking for the verbal?
See it?
I do not. Yes, I do now.
Yep.
Thank you. Please register your vote.
I don't have it on mine.
Yours didn't come up?
No, mine did not come up.
May I?
Yes, please.
Mr. Swift, did yours come up?
Yes.
And Ms. Rendell, I heard you say yours came up.
No.
So Mrs. Miller is not present for the vote. However, she
guess
made the
not. I'm
motion.
not
That could be a
here.
problem.
Okay.
Did it come up?
I have
Oh,
to go
there.
on and on.
I have it now.
Okay, now it came.
Okay,
She's
I
registered.
voted.
All right. When this gets mastered, you'll be very impressed with the ease with which it works. All right, we have 4 in favor, 0 opposed, so that motion carries. We're moving on to the next item is the out-of-field teachers. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
outfield teachers.
Mr. Superintendent.
And I'm bringing this evening for your acceptance the list of the 2012-2013 teachers who are teaching at least one period out of field.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the out-of-field teachers as presented, moved by Mrs. Rendell, seconded by Mr. Swift. Mr. Swift, do you have a comment?
I just wanted to make a comment that we need to look at the roles, because I know of at least one teacher that's not on the list. I'll be glad to tell you later.
All right, so there may be an amendment later is what you're saying. Okay. Any other board discussion? I know that as we work to class size amendment and as we have cutbacks in staff, there's more and more teachers who will appear a single class period
Yeah.
picking one up. So I know that that's where a lot of this comes from.
Yeah, there are a number of teachers that have, because they're more exploratory is being taught in the middle school because of the block, and we have teachers, high school teachers teaching 7 out of 7, that there are a lot of teachers teaching singleton elective and exploratory courses, and they're out of field in those, which explains some of the list and why that list is longer than in the past.
And
Yes.
they are working on accreditation, correct?
They're required to begin this year
Okay.
to work on accreditation. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Any other discussion? Please register your votes if you have not already done so.
Okay.
Is there anyone who did not get a voting prompt? All right.
Okay.
All right. Motion carries 4-0. Next item on the agenda, personnel action. Mr. Superintendent, we have several job descriptions here.
Yes, we
In
do.
addition to our regular personnel items.
So this evening, I am requesting board approval of the personnel action and the myriad job descriptions that are before you.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Miller, seconded by Mrs. Rendell, that we approve the personnel action as amended. If we recall, there was some amendments at the
Yes.
beginning of the board meeting. Is there any board discussion? Seeing none, please register your vote. We're getting it. It's moving smoother. Are you waiting on someone to vote? Just thinking. All right, there we go. Motion carries 4-0. Next item on the agenda, citizens' comment, procedures for addressing the school board. Are there any citizens who wish to speak before the board tonight? Seeing none, moving on to attorney comment. Mrs. Young.
I love the new system. It's very cool. And that's all tonight.
All right. Thank you. Board member comment. Mr. Swift.
I'll take the rare opportunity to pass.
Okay. For the record, that is September the 25th, 2012. Mrs. Miller.
Yes, I have two things. Last Thursday, September 20th, I was out at Mayaca River Elementary, and Mrs. Gaelic wrote a grant to Barnes & Noble and received some nooks for her classroom, and this was a first grade class, and they were wonderful to watch, all the little kids, and they really, they had to share. There were two to a nook. But, and it was a little difficult to get them to share at the very beginning. They wanted it totally to themselves. But it's just a new way of teaching math and reading and probably even more that I didn't see. Plus, it's positive reinforcement. You can use it in so many ways. So that was a pleasant afternoon. The other thing I want to mention is Thursday night, September 27th, 6:30. Delta Kappa Gamma is going to have conversations about education, and we're going to have questions for our state legislatures and legislative candidates and their view on educational issues in Florida and Charlotte County. I believe Andrea's going to be the MC. Dr. Whitaker
Actually,
is
it's
going
moderator,
to be
not MC.
moderator.
I'm not entertaining anyone.
Yeah. Okay, and Dr. Whitaker will be speaking also. And so it's going to be a good night, 6:30, right here in the boardroom. So I'd like to welcome everyone. I think you'll enjoy it. Thank you, and that's it, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. Mrs. Rendell.
Wish Mike Riley could be here. This is like the third time.
Oh, he is. He's right there.
Oh, you're hiding behind Mr. Oliva. Okay. Well, then congratulations, Mike Riley. Once again, I think this is like the third time I've had to congratulate you on receiving an award. This time it's the Charlotte County Chamber of Commerce, the very prestigious Pacesetter Award for 22 years of community involvement and a positive example of service. That part. No. I think the meeting we had in Punta Gorda, the Chamber recognized you for another award, and then I think it was last year you actually had your own award that you won. So remember that. So, I know. So congratulations on another. It's a prestigious award given to just one person every year. So thank you for your service to our community, and that's it.
Thank you. I was also going to mention Mr. Riley because I have a copy of the newspaper article. Mike, you've had quite a year.
I know.
Yes. Does this mean you're not retiring anytime soon, are you?
Year and a half.
I mean, normally when people start getting all these awards,
you're on your way up.
Or they're going to die.
Yeah. Janie's watching out for him. Janie's gonna make sure that doesn't happen. That is not it at all. I do want to make mention that Governor Scott of the great state of Florida has named 7 superintendents to a red tape panel.
Mr. Swift, there it is.
All right. Now, what you need to know is that 7 county superintendents have been named to the committee that is being asked to recommend ways that Florida can cut red tape and reduce paperwork for teachers and administrators. So, thank you, Governor Scott and Interim Commissioner Pam Stewart announced the appointments this was last week. Representatives are Bill Husfeld of Bay County, Mr. Runcie, Superintendent Broward County, Douglas Whitaker of Charlotte County, Wallace Cox of Highlands County, Barbara Jenkins, Orange County, Joseph Joyner, St. Johns County, and Margaret Smith of Volusia County. And we are thrilled that you are representing us. And Mr. Superintendent, we would like you to cut and get rid of the red tape for us. So we are sending that with you and asking you to handle it appropriately.
It's a start. I'll be glad to do that.
All right.
This really wasn't supposed to be a big deal.
It is. It's a big deal.
It
You have an
is-
opportunity to really get some things accomplished, I think.
It's a great opportunity. And the governor is beginning to listen. So that's a good thing. We had a productive dinner last week with him, and look forward to periodic meetings that we're hoping go beyond just the discussion about red tape into some of the deeper, more embedded issues that we have at the state level. But this is a start. So, yeah, I'm honored to be on that group.
Well, we hope you can get rid of it for us.
I will work on it. The first thing that goes is the paperwork reduction report.
And the irony associated.
Yes.
Okay. Comments, Mr. Superintendent?
Just one this evening. Just wanted the board to know we received a letter from Pat Ryan from the South County YMCA thanking us for the contribution of our school bus to the YMCA program. So that came in a couple of weeks ago. And that's it.
All right.
Late tonight.
If there's nothing else to come before the board, meeting is adjourned.